100,000 people in Britain are sleeping rough. Housing Charity Shelters says this means 1 in every 200 are homeless, more than the population of Newcastle. The group says the shortage of affordable housing and changes to the welfare system, such as universal credit and benefits cuts, have contributed to the problem. According to the paper, the number sleeping rough has increased by more than 13,000 over the past year, and London has been pinpointed as the epicentre of the crisis. The borough of Newham recorded the worst results, with 1 in every 25 homeless. Not far behind is Haringey, where 1 in every 29 are on the streets. Meanwhile, in Westminster, 1 in 31 are sleeping rough. And in the North London borough of Enfield, it stands at 1 in 33. Meanwhile, a leading economic think tank has claimed welfare reforms are leaving low-income families particularly at risk for the next recession, which could hit in 5 years' time. The Institute for Fiscal Studies claimed the measures in place during the 2008 financial crash to cushion the impact for working families earning the least would be lessened. The tough economic environment has driven some in Bristol to find alternative housing options, as Martin Andrews reports.
With Bristol's rental average over £1,000 per month, it's not easy for everyone in the city to make ends meet. While some end up homeless, others have taken to living in temporary accommodation, such as caravans and vans.
There are about 40 vans across Easton, and they are a reflection of the housing policy and the housing crisis that this government has put in place. Though we actually have very high rents in our area of Easton, we have very high house prices, and at the moment they're just getting higher and higher, and young people who've lived in the area before, who've got family and friends in the area, can't afford to rent.
Residents have become ruffled at the many vehicles that have appeared on the quiet roads surrounding Greenbank Cemetery in Easton. But as long as vans can be driven, are taxed and have their MOTs, it means people can legally live in them. People who live in these vehicles are not part of a travelling community, and they state they are in these caravans or vans as they cannot afford the rising rental costs in Bristol or around the UK, with some even preferring this nomadic lifestyle. But for the majority here, it's simply down to the money, with living in the city now being too expensive.
Homelessness is complicated, so in part it's caused by rising house prices, and in part it's caused by government policy. So, for example, in Bristol, if somebody was a single person under the age of 35, they would only be entitled to £67 a week in housing benefit, and that's simply not enough to find anywhere to live on.
David left living in both London and Bristol as he could no longer afford rent. And it's a decision that's led him to change his lifestyle, ditching the bricks and mortar for freedom.
I'm a traveller, I like to travel. I cannot stay in one place for too long. So why should I not be able to live this way? We used to live like that for ages. Then since the industrial time, everything become industrialized. Everyone wants to stay in one place. And that's unfortunately just a way of population control.
But not all residents agree with such a carefree attitude and are concerned with sanitation, litter, and that the vans are making their area look untidy, devaluing their homes.
I've talked to many local residents. Some of them I feel are founded, some of them I feel are not. And I feel like if we just have a dialogue going whereby they can voice their complaints, we can address them, I don't see that being a problem.
As caravans don't fall under the criteria of something you can drive, penalty notices have been served and several have been removed. Those in Bristol City Hall admit the housing problem is spiralling out of control.
We're doing all we can to try and build as much affordable housing as we can. So the main thing is that when we develop new housing sites, we make sure there's social housing there and affordable housing, not just housing for people with large amounts of income. That has to be a priority.
Meanwhile, the community is now being threatened with a public space protection order to drive all the van dwellers away. The result could be that the majority will simply move to another part of Somerset, moving the problem away rather than solving it.